Welcome to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of the industry's top professionals, revealing their top secrets to success. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready to learn the latest trends, strategies, and secrets that will help you succeed. Join us as we go beyond the basics and explore what it takes to make it in the world of real estate. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. This is Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Hey everybody, it's Danielle Damianov with Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, and I am here today. I'm very excited with Rob Ortiz. He is with Grand Cash Offers, and he is a real estate investor, wholesaler, so I'm super excited to let everybody know a little bit of insight into the world of real estate investing. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course, I'm super excited. Whatever value we can give to help your audience, I'm with it.
Absolutely. So you are located over in South Florida, right?
Correct.
I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast of Florida.
Yep.
And do you pretty much, so with Grand Cash Offers, do you guys pretty much handle the entire state, or do you have a specific area that you focus on?
Yeah, so we're doing everything statewide. So we primarily started in Orlando when we first started off, and then we branched out into the Carolinas, Alabama, Ohio, and we were spread thin. So we were like, you know what? Let's take all that money, just go knee deep into Florida.
Got it. So how long have you guys been doing this?
So we're going on 2 years, or it's be 3 years this July. So about 2.5 years. Yeah.
And I think you guys are crushing it, right?
Yeah, every year we've been growing. So it's super exciting. Super exciting.
So how long have you been, were you in the business before you started this, or how long have you been in the real estate investing business?
So never. I actually stumbled upon it at a e-commerce event, and I met my mentor there, and he's like, I'm going to get you in wholesaling, man. And his name is Javier, and I paid him $5,000. And I was like, man, I'm super interested in this. Just show me the game. And just been in there for 2 years. I think it's the best place to start inside of real estate.
That's awesome. Now, was it a coaching program or was it a one-on-one mentorship?
Yeah, so it was a one-on-one mentorship. It was a full dynamic of real estate, right? So from buying and holding to becoming a realtor, to loan origination, and then the last piece of it was wholesaling. And I was super excited for the wholesaling part, not really about the rest of it, but I still got pieces from everything else, and it was amazing. So pretty much just ran with it.
I think what I like about the real estate investing side and like the wholesaling side, when you're not an actual like licensed real estate agent, is the laws. You don't have to worry about all of the laws. Like when you're a real estate agent, and you get into investing and stuff like that. I mean, there's like a fine line with certain things, but with wholesaling, in the investment side, you don't have to worry about all of those little things that you do when you're a real estate agent. So.
Yeah, correct. That's something I always, so I just started a mentorship program with some people. And that's the number one thing I taught them. I'm like, hey, listen, wholesaling is all ethics. There's really no rules, but you want to respect the rules of Florida, of the FAR bar. And you just want to have ethics when it comes to helping these homeowners, because the last thing you want to do is sit here, create a bad name, not only for the company, but for yourself. Because once you do that, nobody's going to want to work with you. So yeah, that's the cool thing about wholesaling. It's all creativity.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about like the day in the life of a wholesaler.
Oh man, it's fun, So we typically start our day around 8 a.m. Some of our sellers like to call us around 6 a.m., shoot us text messages and stuff. But the first thing that we always do, and I can go a little in depth. I don't want to go super in depth, a little in depth. We focus on dispo super heavy, right? So we actually, one of our lead sources for dispositioning properties is we work with a bunch of other wholesalers. So we're not greedy, we're not mean. We love working with other wholesalers. So my first thing is I want to check my email and see what people sent me overnight, because people are always locking things up. So that first hour of my day, I'm analyzing those deals, I'm pushing it out to hundreds of our buyers. Soon as we get that out the door, I'm going to pretty much start jumping on with my team, with our marketing team. So it's pretty much cold callers, some of our other lead generation partners, and we go see what we're doing for the day, what campaigns we're kicking off, how many leads we need to get in. So that's probably about 30 minutes. And then after that, I get on Zoom with my team. So my team is broken up between Florida and Connecticut. We have some people in Connecticut as well who close sales for us. And from there, we just started talking about, hey, what needs to be locked up? Okay, that's the priority. What needs to be locked up today, right? Because that's our lead generator, not lead generator, our revenue generator.
Yeah.
And then who do we need to be followed up with? Like, who needs to be spoken to actually get to a yes to sign an agreement today? And then after that, we're just hitting you leads all the way maybe to about 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Nice.
it's pretty exciting.
Go back because this is actually something interesting that you said. I get wholesale deals all the time emailed to us. We are real estate investors also. We buy a lot from wholesalers. But I never realized that a wholesaler can actually take from other wholesalers. You know what I mean? So like you're analyzing a list that other wholesalers have as well under contract or whatever, and then pushing that out to your buyer list.
Correct. Yeah. So and it's not even from a revenue generating standpoint. It's for feeding my investors. I want to keep my investors full at all times, right? So I always want them busy because when you look at wholesaling, we're primarily buying properties that are ran down, right? So our investors actually have teams, right? General contractors, roofers, all those guys. And if we're not bringing them deals, that means he doesn't have work for his team, right? So we're like, man, how can we keep feeding them? That way they keep their teams busy as well. So we try to keep that into the scope of things. But yeah, man, we're always helping. And plus it helps out other wholesalers too. They get the deals, but they don't know how to dispo properly.
Right.
So it helps everybody out.
So let's say you have a wholesale list, you have a property that another wholesaler has under contract and you have the buyer. Where in there are you, getting paid? Are you then getting another commission on top of what they're making, or how is that working?
So it all depends on the structure of the deal. Typically when we JV with wholesalers, we like to do it 50-50. Starting this year, I'm going to make it a little more attractive to other wholesalers. I'm actually going to do a 60-40 split, so more in their pocket, a little less than ours, just so it's we can be the place where they're like, hey, we want to go to him because we're going to get more money if we JV with him. So just being a little generous on that end. But we also look at the deal for what it is. A lot of wholesalers will lock up deals way too high. And I'm guilty of it too. I've locked up a couple on my own that I'm like, man, this is going to be a smoking deal. It's in Orlando. It's 10 minutes away from Universal. Like, it's going to be a great deal. And we locked it up too high. So what we'll do is we analyze the deal. If we could add a little bit on, we would. If not, we'll let the wholesaler know that, hey, we're going to do this thing 50-50.
Got it. Well, and I think that's important to kind of, to know, because the thing with wholesalers is that if they don't sell that property, like if it's wrapped up and they don't sell it, so they're wanting, I'm sure, other wholesalers to come in with a buyer so that you can churn and burn, right? I mean, that's like the name of the game, get them in, get them out. And then then they're not always on the hook for it.
Yeah. So, and that's the hard, and I could tell you stories of my own, right? And this was a recent one, maybe that we did, maybe this might've been August. It's an ugly story, but I like to show ugly as well.
Yeah.
I had a deal in Kissimmee, right next to Disney World, right? Like literally minutes away from Disney World. And I texted one of my partners. I'm like, this is going to be a hot property to Airbnb. Like, it's beautiful. It's a 3-3. Like, I think it's just unlimited potential. And we got it at around 65-ish%. And it just didn't move. The HOA was too high. Some investors were like, we're not going to touch that with something, the HOA that's that high. I think it was like 500. And our marketing period is 21 business days, right? So we have a whole month to market this deal, and nobody touched it. And I felt so bad. We're going in cash. Yep.
And do you have a minimum escrow?
That's I always get this question. It depends. I try to keep at 100. I see wholesalers lock it up at $1, and I'm like, I can't do $1. But we also use that as a negotiation tactic, because most people will look at the agreement with 100. They're like, cool. And we have some ways we sway around that as well. But if we want to get the deal done quicker, we let the buyer know, like, hey, if we can get this locked up today, we will literally wire in $1,000 tomorrow. And then in the next 15 days, we'll wire in another $4,000. That way it's $5,000 non-refundable. And then from there, once we get title clear and everything, we'll wire in the rest of the money. So
are you closing on these, or you're solely wholesaling?
Solely wholesaling. That was my game plan for the first 2 years, just wholesale. And this year we're about to start buying some properties. So
okay,
super excited.
Yeah, it was funny. I see we work with wholesalers as well, and I'll see like a $600,000, property with $1,000 in escrow, and I'm like, how are they doing that? So when you said 100, I was like, what? Like that's just crazy. But I'm coming from the real estate agent perspective, not from somebody that's distressed. So are you getting? Talk to me a little bit about like where you're getting your properties from.
Of course. So we get them from 3 different places. So first and foremost is cold calling. I know a lot of people don't like cold calling. I think it's the best place to get leads. We have cold callers calling all day long, and we're targeting certain areas, some South Florida, but we have them on certain campaigns of properties we're looking for certain investors of ours, and they're bringing in anywhere from 5 to 10 leads a day. Wow. So anybody who's motivated, right? So we, typical real estate thing, timeline, condition, price, and we get them qualified on that, and then they go over to our closers. That's our first place that we're doing it. The second place is Lead Zolo. So Lead Zolo, actually, it's a newer lead generation source. We've only been using them for about a month now, and super, super solid. They're running ads on TikTok, YouTube, and I think another source as well. So it's all inbound leads, and they just push those leads over to us once they come in. Yeah, and they're all, some companies like to share leads. This place, if the lead comes in and it's my turn to get a lead, it's like on a round robin. They send it over to us. And then on top of that, after that, we like to work with other wholesalers on leads too, because a lot of wholesalers doesn't have the closing capabilities to close these leads themselves. So I'm always letting wholesalers know, like, hey, whatever leads you think are ready to convert, send them over to us and we'll convert them and we'll still split the deal 50-50.
So in terms of cold calling, because when I sold real estate, I was a huge cold caller. I hated it, but then I got to love it. I felt like the Wolf of Wall Street, seriously, like had my headset on, doing my scripts and things like that. But where are you having VAs call them from, or do you have like a call center in South Florida?
No, so all of our callers are in the Philippines. And a lot of people they're like, wow, you pay people so little for cold callers. And I'm like, no, these people are amazing. So we vet these cold callers out like crazy. And we're trying to add like 2 or 3 on every single month. Everybody's in the Philippines and they are just amazing at talking on the phones. We've even promoted some of our cold callers to close deals for us. Wow. From how amazing they are on the phone. Because they have the best work ethic I think I've ever seen. Like they're willing to dial all day long.
Yeah, I agree. So what VA source are you using to get your VAs?
So we keep it super simple, and I'll go like a little bit into our process of how we vet these VAs. We actually just use Upwork. I know a lot of people use online jobs.ph or whatever that is. I've never did it. I've only got my leads from Upwork, but we have them on what's called a 20-day fast start, right? And for 4 weeks, 5 days a week, they have certain goals to hit. And we're looking for a 90% completion rate. So let's say that they're bringing in 10 leads every week. Their goal is to bring in at least 9. If they can do that, they're going to stay on the team. Once they stay on the team, we give them a sign-up bonus. We up their pay and we up their hours. We like to see their work ethic in those first 20 days before we actually marry into them and start pouring into them. Uh-huh. We just onboarded one literally before the podcast, and she was super excited because she killed it. Yeah, I think she brought us in these last 4 weeks about 50 to 60 leads, and some of them already converted.
So I actually I use Upwork as well. And I hired a few cold callers from Upwork. And what I did was I gave them scripts and I had them role play. So before I even met with anybody, I wanted to hear, them reciting the scripts and role play and objections and stuff like that. And then they went into the next phase. Is that what you do, or?
I'm about to start doing that now that I heard you say it. No, so I only ever ask them, I'm like, hey, just send me a cold call that you did. I don't care. It could be real estate. It could be something else. It could be insurance. I just want to hear you close a lead, right? Let me hear what your conversational skills are like, and then send me like your previous history of cold calling. After that, we'll jump on a Zoom, and then if I like them, I like what I hear, I like how they move, then I'll bring them on. And then for a week, what I was doing before, I would spend like 2 hours a day with them for a week and just be on while they're dialing. But some of our VAs go with us for so long that now they're actually taking those tasks on to train the other VAs. And it's just an amazing thing. So
yeah, that's awesome. have other people train them. It relieves you to do other things. A couple of other things that I did just for like people that are listening that want to hire VAs for cold calling, because I know a lot of times people will say, oh, I don't want to hire an ISA from another country, you know, or whatever. And I can honestly tell you, they not only is their work ethic amazing, but they're a lot better. And the other thing, when like we're personally cold calling, we like have a tie to it, right? Like we need to close that deal, where they really don't. So it's a lot easier for them. And then what I would do was, you know, give them the script, have them role play the script, send me the recording. If it was good, they would go on to the next stage. And then after that, I would listen to all of our calls were recorded. So I would listen to some of the role plays, and then I would say, oh, when you said this, you could have said that. So it would be the training.
That's good. That's very good what you're doing, though, because you're actually hands-on training. A lot of people that I see in real estate, they're like, Rob, I hired a VA, but they're not bringing in leads. I'm like, when was the last time you were on a Zoom with them? And they're like a week ago. I'm like, dude, these guys are amazing. You just have to give them a lot of guidance. When I first started with VAs, I hired and forgot about them, and I'm just paying them every week.
Yeah,
not bringing anything. You know, but the best thing about VAs, in my personal opinion, is that they're very good at understanding instruction, and they'll do it, and they don't get in the way of it. Like you said earlier, like we pretty much get in the way of ourselves. Like we want to close this deal, so there's so much more pressure on us. Versus, I tell my VAs, I'm like, I'm only looking for 4 things. If you could give me 4 things, send that lead over to me.
Yeah,
and they're just so good at it. And same thing with like with some of our VAs who are closers. Like when I go to close deals, I'll prejudge a lead, which I hate doing. I'm making like a core value in sales to not prejudge the lead. They don't care what the lead says. Like my instructions, I'm like, just call them, make them an offer. They will call any lead and make them an offer. And I'm like, how our VA, one of our VAs, their first like 2 weeks, they did $50,000 in assignments. I was like, what the heck? You know, and just because they're not prejudging, they're just doing what they're told, and they take action. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you guys.
Exactly.
So they're all
smile dial, make a pile.
I like that. Smile down, make a pile.
So where are you getting the numbers from? Like you mentioned campaigns. What are the 3 specific campaigns that you're looking for in properties?
Yeah, so we're always on the residential side, we're pretty much looking for absentee homeowners, right? So we don't want to deal. The thing I hate most is taking people out of their homes. So I don't like to deal with direct homeowners who are living in the home and they got to relocate. It's always either a headache, a issue, or a heartbreak.
Yeah.
So we look for that absentee who just want to kind of sell off their rental properties. That's the first thing that we look for. We like to stay under 300,000 because those are usually the ones that are a lot more distressed.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, we like to look for single family properties mainly and townhomes. I don't like dealing with apartments. And then we're also doing land. If you want some quick transactions, quick cash, land all day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question right, because you're saying numbers, but.
Well, no, campaigns. I was just curious, like what you're going after. So absentee land, and now you're getting into commercial, right?
Commercial, yep. So we had a couple of our partners approach us with like, Rob, we're looking like 20, 30 acres. And I'm like, okay, I never thought about getting into it, but they're like, just pull a list and they're like, it's the same deals. So we're pulling over 10 acres of land. We're pulling storage units, and we're actually about to go, full on nationwide looking for storage units. So that's going to be very interesting. And then we're also doing anywhere from 5 to 25 units. So, and that's going to be tailored a little bit more to the older investors who don't want to hold on to their properties no more, at their headaches. They just want to get out of it. So all that started today. So we're excited.
Awesome. Yay. Congratulations. That's going to be exciting. So let me ask you, when you first get started, I think there's two big things. Number one is getting the deals to wholesale, right? And then number 2 is getting the buyers to wholesale them too. So how are you getting your buyer list?
So our buyers list, and I'll back it up a little bit. A lot of people, there's always different instruction in wholesaling, like start with the deal, start with the buyer. I kind of take it like mom's grocery list. Mom sends you in the store. She's like, hey, I need milk, eggs, and Windex, right? I want to know exactly what I'm looking for. That way I know for sure it's a deal. So what I will do is, depending on where your market is, if you want to do it virtually and you select the market outside of where you're at, or you want to do it where you're at. I started in Orlando. So luckily I had my partner. He told me, he's like, Rob, if you get anything in Kissimmee in Orlando, I will buy anything that's a townhome or a single family under $200,000. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So that's all I went and targeted, right? And once we got that buyer, we knew exactly what he was looking for. We went and did that. So the way we found our buyer lists, number one, usually it's a lot of people you just don't know they do it, right? So I like to ask people, I like that circle of influence first, see who's really buying. That's a good way to start with your buyers list. If you don't have anybody around you, literally have no family, no friends, nobody you know, the best thing you could do is go on to Propstream. It's $100 a month. They give you a 7-day free trial, and go look up your zip code. If you go look up your zip code, look at properties that sold in the last 30 to 90 days. You pull that list, get 10 or 15 numbers. You can go search them for free on True People Search. And you give them a call and be like, hey, listen, Danielle, I'm actually, I have some properties that are off market, that they're going to be under agreement real soon. Are you still buying properties here in West Palm or Orlando? And if so, how can I send these deals to you? You have an email? What can I do? And you start you just start creating that arsenal of buyers. So that's how we still do that to this day. We still do that every single month.
So that's part of the calls that your VAs are calling.
So we have VAs for acquisitions and dispositions. So the dispositions, all they're responsible for is calling buyers that bought in the last 30 days. So all of November, whoever bought in November, they're getting called in December to get added to our list.
Nice. I like it. So you mentioned Propstream. I've used Propstream before. I didn't find the numbers to be that accurate. How are you liking Propstream, and what are some of the other systems that you use to find numbers?
Yeah, so like owners information?
Yeah.
Okay, so we use a platform called skipdata.io. So they get their information directly from the credit bureaus. And our dialer, because we go off the metrics from the dialer, because they're going to tell us everything about the numbers we're calling. We're getting about an 85% connection rate.
Okay.
Right? So we're actually connecting with the buyers the correct numbers. Right. So it's very, very awesome. I mean, I don't think anything's ever 100%, but Skip Data is pretty good. We've used Batch. I mean, I have nothing bad against Batch. It's just a little expensive for
using Batch. I went from the Batch.
Yeah, so Batch, usually they have some pretty good data. It's just a lot more expensive, and every time I get somebody at wholesaling, I don't want you to spend a boatload of money. We're paying, I think, like 8 cents a skip. So, I mean, it's still expensive. There's some people offer 3 cents a skip, but it's not the best. I would advise for it. But yeah, I mean, Propstream, I've skipped straight through Propstream a couple of times, but we rarely do it these days.
So you're using Propstream just to look up, people's addresses, or?
So that's where we compile our lists from. So they give you 10,000 addresses every month. We include it in the $100. I'm not trying to sell for them or anything, by the way.
No, because people ask me all the time, like, well, how do I find the numbers? Especially when I was cold calling expires. How do I find the numbers? Like, where do I, all of this stuff. So people want to know, like, what systems are out there.
Yeah, so Propstream is killed. I've used it since the first day I started wholesaling. And we use that. We pull 10,000 records every month. And primarily we use that to look up properties, right? So when we get a lead in, I'll always go pop in, see if they got a mortgage. All the numbers there really aren't like to the cent, but it's usually like within a $5,000 ballpark, which I'm cool with. I just want to make sure we have the owner's information correct. I like to see what other properties they own. So the cool thing about Propstream is if I go look up Danielle's like property wherever she has it, and it's going to show us your whole portfolio, whether it's an LLC or it's in your name. So it's super cool. So I get to ask him like, hey, listen, I know we're calling about 123 Banana Street. Are you interested in selling the other 5 if we could do a package deal? And we make deals like that. So it's awesome. It's really, it's a cool tool. It's like the wholesalers MLS.
Yeah, exactly. So are you doing any print marketing, anything like that? Or are you solely cold calling and online?
So that is one of our things that we're going to do in 2024. We want to start doing some print mail. I started it when I first got in it. I spent like hundreds of dollars, and I'm like, I'm not getting a lead from any of this stuff. But it's because that's a volume game for sure. So starting in January, that's one of our goals, is to start pushing out some mailers, because those things really convert. So, but yeah, so far right now, it's literally just Lead Zolo, which are all inbound leads. other wholesalers and cold call.
And I think you hit the nail on the head right there when you said it's like a volume, because people will ask, especially real estate agents, like, oh, I think I'm going to start farming. And I'm like, you have to have, a lot of patience and a lot of money to farm. So you can either like work for the leads or you can buy the leads. Working for the leads is picking up the phone and making the calls, and you're going to get so much better results from active prospecting than you do from passive prospecting, which is sending something out there and hoping someone's going to call you for it. So by doing your active prospecting first, you're generating enough income to then being able, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So you're generating enough income to then be able to go and do that passive prospecting to start getting, some deals in that way. And then it becomes also word of mouth, right? Then you start with all of the referrals and everything else. So 5 years into this business, you're 2.5 years in, 3 more years, you're going to be literally like blowing up.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. I love, the thing is, I didn't expect to love real estate this much, even though I don't own any of it. I'm partnered on some deals like with other people, so it's not 100% mine, which is fine. I never expected to love it this much because I've helped so many people in real estate. And I love it's really weird. I like helping wholesalers, but I love helping realtors. Because realtors get into the game, and I'm not a realtor yet, but I'm in the transition to becoming one, because I think the realtors if you create your brand like nice, I think it's the most undefeated brand there is on the planet. Everybody loves realtors. Nobody knows a wholesaler, right? We literally just helped a realtor in October. We helped them make $15,000 off of a deal that we couldn't wholesale.
Wow.
Right? So if I was a realtor, I would be connecting with every wholesaler I know and be like, hey, whatever leads you can't convert or that you can't cash it, let me list it. And I'll give you, I know with the rules of the realtors, you guys can't give percentages of your commission, but be like, I'll give you, exactly. I'd be like, hey, I'll give you a fine share of it as a marketing, fee. I do that all the time with realtors, and it's one of the most awesome things in the world, because we not only do we help a family, we got to help a realtor as well. So if I was a realtor, I'd be reaching out to every wholesaler, because wholesalers have a lot of leads.
There's so many different ways to make money in real estate. In the podcast before, he was talking about how he's in Airbnb, and then he was talking about cryptocurrency, and I was like, see, those are two different niches that most real estate agents get into the business and they don't realize. So what you just said is awesome. It's get in touch with the wholesalers in your area and find out, establish those relationships with them and list those properties that they're not able to actually wholesale. Because if you're under contract on a property and you're, 15 days, got to put another $4,000 down in escrow, and you have a feeling now this thing's not going to sell, you're going to be backing out of the deal. And it's a lot easier to go to the seller and say, hey, I think we can probably get you a lot more money if we list it on the MLS than me buying.
Exactly.
So what I would prefer to do is back out of the deal. I have a great real estate agent that's ready to take it over. I want my $1,000 back. But I'm going to make you at least $1,000 more when you sell this property on the MLS. So.
You know what's another good strategy? And I try to teach this a lot to my wholesaler buddies so it's a little bit of a complex strategy, but if you follow, it's not an overnight strategy, it's an overtime strategy. So if you create a separate live Google Sheet, get a VA to do it, whatever deals wholesaler sends you, put this into a separate spreadsheet, every single address. There's a reason why. So there's 3 things you're going to look for. 1, did it sell? If it sold, you go look up the buyer. Who did it sell it to? Most likely an investor. Add them to your arsenal of buyers because they're buying. That's number 1 thing we look at. Number 2, if it didn't sell, why didn't it sell? You go call the buyer. Hey, I saw those recently for sale. Are you still interested in selling it? Why didn't it sell? Whatever. If you're a realtor, you can get the listing that way.
Yeah,
we've gotten contracts like that before, right? And then the 3rd thing is if you're an investor, right, and you want to buy and hold, and you already know that person was selling it for cash, give them a call. Hey, it looks like that didn't really work out. Are you interested in terms? Do you want to sell it for, do you want to finance it to me? Those 3 things we're always looking for. So I have a VA who monitors every email we get. within wholesalers, and they're logging every single one of those properties. Every 30 days, we go over it, see what sold, what did it, and then we're just pretty much building our database on every end.
That's such a great tip. That's a really great tip.
So if you're a realtor, keep your eyes peeled for stuff like that, because those are free leads at that point.
Well, and half the realtors, especially in this market, are sitting around twiddling their thumbs, wondering, like, how am I going to get a deal? But they never think outside the box. You know, they never think to go in, you know, meet with wholesalers or meet with different types of people or do the different types of niches or whatever, you know. Last and final question. What is the best way that you value property, especially property that might not be in your immediate area? Because I can tell you, I see wholesale deals all the time and I'm literally laughing, dying, like somebody buys that. But there's novice investors out there that they don't know. And they look at it like, oh, that's that's got to be a great deal. And then they get into it. And the next thing you know, $100,000 is, they're not going to be, they're underwater. So you say are the best ways to like value property? So
it's tough because when you get into wholesale, people are like 75% of the last comp, right? Which is decent. I think 3 of anything is always good. So what I'll do is anytime, and we get leads from almost everywhere sometimes, like we could be in Philadelphia. We just got one in from, I think it was Arkansas. I'm like, I don't even know anybody in Arkansas, but let's see if it's a deal, if we can move it. I'll go pull up the last 3 comps, right? Apples to apples, right? Square footage, year builds, bedrooms, bathrooms, garage, pool, in the last 30 to 90 days. And then what I'll do is I'll average out an ARV, the after repair value, and that's what my ideal value would be. And then I'll start working backwards there from an offer. So, because the best thing is, and this is what I learned when I first jumped in, is I'll have one comp, and it'll be the highest comp in the area. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this piece of land, it's worth $100,000, but that piece of land is an acre. The one I have is a quarter acre, right? And it has no utilities on it. And he's like, dude, it's not worth that, man. Maybe 15,000. I'm like, no, I promise. It just sold for 100,000. We do 50. And I got shut down a lot by doing that. I lost a lot of deals doing that. And so I'm like, I have to really dial in on the skill set. If you can accurately comp properties, it is probably the best skill set that you can do whenever analyzing the deal. But that served me so well the last 3 comps, last 30 to 60, apples to apples.
And I want to just make a point. It's sold comps, because a lot of times
sold comps, yes.
They'll look at actives and they'll say, well, this is on the market, and, you know, and they're pricing based off of active comps. You have to base it off of sold comps. And the other thing is, when we're in, which we are in, somewhat of a depreciating market, we're going to start to see, you know, a lot more homes. We're going to start to see a lot more distressed properties. There's a lot of people not making their mortgage payments, you know, and a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, Danielle, we're not going to be back in 2008. I had a mortgage and real estate company back then, so I know exactly what it was like. You know, the values didn't go up that much and stuff like that. Rates are super low, but it doesn't matter. You know, if people bought in the past 2 years and now they don't have a job and they can't make their mortgage payment, the value is not going up, it's going down, right? And so we're going to definitely start to see a lot of list pendants and short sales and foreclosures over the next couple of years. So just want to make sure that when values are going down, not only are you pricing your comps off of sold comps, you have to take that, you know, the market into consideration and go even under that, because by the time you try and list it or sell it, you know, it could be chasing that market
way under. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, because that's up. And you also want to look at, we get a little bit more in depth with our comps too. We want to make sure that these are like, because sometimes some of our guys are flippers, you know, and some of these deals, especially in Orlando, are all being sold to hedge funds. Hedge funds overpay on properties. I don't feel like that's an accurate comp, right? Just because they're not buying it as they're buying it as an investment versus as a home that a family wants. So that's 2 completely different things. So I don't even take those into consideration. We want to make sure these are actual people who are buying these things, not just a hedge fund. So there's a bunch of different ways, but as long as you're accurately doing it, I think you're always going to be good. You know, because I see different things all the time. Some people are like just 80% is Zestimate. I'm like, dude, that is so off. You know, I'm like, that is, as estimate comes close, but I'm like, it's not a supporting thing. You want to be able to, because as a wholesaler, you're getting these deals and you still have this, just because you got it under contract, you did one part of the sale. The second part is selling it to the buyer. Now you want to have supporting comps like, hey, 1, 2, 3 has been sold in the last 30 to 90. I think this is what the property could perform at rental wise and ARV wise. So it's a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, like, if realtors, like, one thing I'd be studying right now if I was a realtor is first of all, how to talk to sellers off market. Second, sub two seller financing, how to have those conversations. And then finding some buyers, like some real investors. I think realtors will thrive if they understand how to do those 3 things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think, I always say getting a property under contract is actually the easy part. Getting it from contract to close is where the real work comes in, and it takes a team. I mean, it takes a village. It takes a lot of people to get from contract to close. One thing I do want to point out, one more thing, when you talked about land, right, and like wholesaling land and stuff like that, you have to definitely be careful, because in my area, and I forget, like, there's like eagle's nests or like turtles or,
Go for turtle.
Yep. If you get on one of those under contract and now you cannot build on that property for however long or, whatever. So definitely have to be careful, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get into wholesaling, right? And it's going to be easy and it's da-da-da-da and it's fun and it's exciting. But they also have to know about the pitfalls, because they can definitely get caught.
Yeah. Everybody makes it look sexy on Instagram until you do the dirty work.
Yeah.
We actually have, right now, I want to say 8 or 9 contracts out on land right now. And one of the pieces of land, we sent one of our builders to go take a look at it. He called me. He's like, hey, Rob, there's a gopher turtle on the land. They're like, the good news is it looks like it's inching away towards the land. There's not a nest there. It's just one turtle. But they're like, we're going to come back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's going to be off the land tomorrow. If it's off the land tomorrow, send us an assignment. We'll close on it the same day. I'm like, not same day, same week, but they're pretty fast at closing. They send things in like super fast. So, but we've had them with nests on them. We've had them to where there's been sinkholes, and we didn't know, because I never go look at the properties. We send out our people to go look at the properties. But yeah, you have to be very careful with land, because there's a bunch of different things that take into factors. Utilities, water utilities going to hit the roads. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff. But it's easy. There's a lot of factors, but it's a lot easier than homes. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My husband had like a really good 8-month run on flipping land. Sent out letters, people were calling, and a lot of out of the country people, that were late on their taxes. So just sending out letters, he was getting the calls, sending out the contracts, flipping the land. Super, super simple, very easy.
Oh, it's fun. And we just connected with the buyer. We spoke with her yesterday, and she's like, Rob, anything in Ocala and Marion Oaks, I'll buy it for up to $35,000 a lot. Right after we had that conversation, we spoke with the seller, like, I'll sell mine for $30,000. I'm like, oh, it's an easy $5,000 sign. I was like, I'm sending the agreement right now, man. Don't even worry about it. Boom, done deal. So finding those buyers who will buy no matter what. I think this lady probably owns maybe 200-300 parcels of land. So it's just finding those people. Yeah. Being resourceful. That's the game. Being resourceful.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This was fun. I love talking real estate investing. I think there was like a ton of tips, a lot of, great advice on what to do and what not to do and what to watch out for, as well as, tools that you use and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see you and your commercial really take off.
I appreciate you. I'm super excited for it, because it's a bunch of new lessons. So I appreciate you.
Exactly. So anybody nationwide, he is your real estate investor. If you have deals, bring them to him. And if you want to buy, go to Rob. If you need a fix and flip loan, come to me, because I have I have all of the investment property loans that you could ever think of. And they're no income and no asset verification, 10% down, 100% of the rehab cost is financed. It's awesome. The loans are program is awesome.
I'm gonna start pushing you on my email list to my investors.
Yes, Yes.
Send me some information. I'll push you on the email list. That way some of these guys, because they're always looking for money.
Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite platform, and we would love your feedback. Check us out on social and let me know what topics you want more of. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and our show. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov, and until next time, stay motivated, stay excited, and keep growing in this crazy world of real estate. Thanks for listening to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked.